Foxwood Personal Training provides bespoke fitness training and sports massage solutions in the South Manchester area, and we're bringing to you a tutorial series on training methods for muscle and size. This particular tutorial is on the use of progressive overload within your muscle building program. In previous tutorials in this series, we've identified a muscle building sweet spot, and by performing 6 to 12 repetitions per set, assuming you're taking those sets to failure, which means if you're able to perform 13 repetitions or more in a set, the weight's too light. If you're unable to perform as many as 6 repetitions per set, then the weight is too heavy. And also ensuring that the lowering portion of the lift is performed more slowly than the concentric portion of the lift. If you adhere to all of those points, you are working within that muscle building sweet spot. And this is where the majority of your training time should be spent. But we also need variation within the program. So some of the time we will deviate from that muscle building sweet spot. We're going to have periods where we go heavier, and we're going to have periods where we use lighter loads in training. The heavier training is likely to be in the 3 to 5 repetitions per set range, and the lighter training could involve the use of 15 reps per set or more, 20, 25, even 30 repetitions per set. There will come a point, though, where by simply adhering to the style of training we have just discussed, you will no longer continue to achieve gains in muscle size. We will need to progress the training. We'll need to make it harder in some way. And the simplest way to achieve this is by adding volume to the program, whether it be by performing more sets within a given session or by performing more sessions in a week. And this will be effective to a large extent because volume is very important for muscle growth, but there's also going to be an upper limit in terms of how much we can progress that volume. Eventually you'll stop responding to increases in volume, or perhaps you won't have the time to perform more and more volume. And especially for the time-strapped athlete or the time-strapped lifter, an increase in training density could be a good next option. And antagonistic supersets are very useful in this regard. So we would alternate between exercises that use opposing muscle groups. And that's very effective for increasing the amount of work that's being performed within a given time frame. Perhaps one of the most advanced ways of progressing the training load is by using intensity techniques. An intensity technique is used to provide both high loads and high volume simultaneously within a given set of an exercise. And this is achieved by starting with a heavy weight in an exercise, and then special techniques can be used to extend the length of that set under increasing levels of fatigue, even though we're using a heavy weight which normally could only allow us to use a very small number of repetitions per set. So some of these special techniques might include drop sets, mechanical drop sets, supersets, or forced reps, and we'll quickly talk through what these techniques involve. So a drop set involves performing as many repetitions as you possibly can using that initial heavy weight, and once you reach a point of failure or near failure, a partner will reduce some of the weight on the bar, allowing you to continue to perform some additional repetitions. And again, when you reach a point of failure, the partner may reduce the weight again for a second drop to allow you to further perform additional repetitions. So you can see that both intensity and volume are being incorporated into the same set there. Mechanical drop sets work in a similar fashion, but instead of reducing the weight, there will be a slight change in technique that allows you to perform additional repetitions. So for example, in the bench press, you could start with a very narrow grip, which is more difficult, and as you fatigue, you can use a wider grip, which will enable you to perform additional repetitions. Supersets involve pairing exercises using the same muscle group. So you may perform incline bench press for the chest, and once you reach a point of failure, you will go straight into a flat bench press, for example. That's enabling you to use a heavy weight during the incline bench press, but still accumulate a large amount of volume before taking a rest. And forced repetitions, the final intensity technique that we're going to discuss in this tutorial, involve selecting a relatively heavy weight in an exercise, and it could be any exercise, and then once you are approaching failure, a partner will provide a small amount of assistance in order for you to squeeze out a few additional repetitions that you otherwise would not be able to perform.